I'm so excited to be able to have these panelists here with us today. I know most of them, and when you're with the company for 18 years, you really develop wonderful relationships. And as you can well imagine, when you develop these relationships and you ask them to help you out, they inevitably say yes, even though they're so busy and have other things to do. So I'm just so proud that everybody is here and was able to commit and join us today because they have some amazing stories. I'm going to use David's word. Amazing stories to share with you today on how the Cisco Networking Academy has impacted their life.
Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Michael Silva. Some of you guys might know me as Professor Silva. My children, my two sons, know me as Dad. You can pick your favorite name as long as you like it, and I like it, we're good. The experience that I had with Cisco was a wild ride, not something that I had expected when I first started at all, actually. When I was really young, I'm going to contain this to like 30 seconds because this is my life. I was really young, I got into computers. Right? So fast forward a bunch of years, I decided I really liked networking. So I got into RPI amongst other schools, and I decided, hey, there's this Cisco class, let me check it out, I'm going to go take it. So take a guess who the instructor was for that class. Mr. David Kafel. Okay, everybody knows Dave, right? Okay, so he's the instructor. So I have never seen somebody in my entire life. I was so blown away by his enthusiasm, by Dave's enthusiasm for this class, that it actually changed my perspective on the technology. And I said, this is a really wonderful thing. So I went through and just continued to follow through on networking. I realized the power of communications in general. And I decided when I graduated, I said, you know what, I really want to go back and I really want to do my master's in information security and criminal justice. So I did. It was a program called Information Assurance outside of Boston in Northeastern. So I did this and got exposed to all sorts of really cool security stuff. And during that time, actually, back in 2010, I incorporated ArchonOne, which is the current IT services business that we run right here in New York City out of 200 Park Avenue. And one of the first clients that we had was the New York Institute of Technology. The dean actually called me and said, listen, we really want to reform the computer science curriculum. I said, sure, no problem, happy to help with that. And then she said, well, what do you recommend? And I said, well, you need better vendor alignment. So guess which one I picked? I threw in VMware and Microsoft there. I said, listen, these guys are important. I mean, everybody's really important, but I said, I have to pick one. I love networking, let's pick Cisco. So she goes, okay, great. She goes, I want you to look into that. I go, okay, so there I am on my own. I go and look into it, and I find out, oh, you got to have a certification to be an instructor for the class, and you have to find out the academy and all this, and it didn't exist. So I had to find out the guy that authorizes the academies and the guy that trains the instructors to qualify as instructors and all this. So I look it up, and I see this guy's name in the book, and it says the person you need to talk to start the process to build a Cisco Network Academy at a university is David Kafel. So I look at it and I go, no way, this can't be this guy. So I call him up. I call him up. Oh, he's very much alive. I call him up. And Dave goes, Michael? I say, yeah. He goes, what do you want to do? He goes, you realize I still have to test you, right? He goes, you didn't forget, did you? I said, you'll be the judge of that, but I'll see you in Saratoga in a couple of months. So I ended up meeting up with Dave, and that was really the start of it. So we actually created the Cisco Networking Academy that's live today at New York Institute of Technology. I am the instructor for that, and I'm very happy to have you guys here as a support team for that. It's really a wonderful experience. We ran the first class last semester, actually. It was a great success. It's in the curriculum. Students are registering for it, and we're expanding out the rest of the curriculum as well for the more advanced Cisco classes. So this was just kind of the genesis, and when I first started, I never understood the impact that was going to have, and I'm so for education on this. But you talk about how did we get here at this point in our lives. I mean, I can trace it directly back to Dave, directly, without a question, directly back to Cisco. There's no question in my mind, and I got the paperwork to prove it. I mean, that's the top 8 and 9 layers, right? Bureaucracy, I got the paperwork. There you go. So I just wanted to really thank everybody here for supporting that because, in a strange kind of way, when I first started, I wouldn't be able to be here without the support of everybody in this room. Even though I didn't have the honor of meeting each of you guys until today, there is no way I could have been where I am in my career. And now, running multi-million-dollar business with staff and being also a professional educator in the evenings at NYT as an adjunct where I've taught for the last 5 years, right? And running these classes, helping to build Cisco academies and helping to promote this type of knowledge and communication. I mean, I now appreciate and understand the sense of value that I bring to everybody around me, especially the younger generation, by educating them. And it's such a deep, rewarding feeling that I can't be paid for it. I can't be, I mean, like Subway doesn't take my smile as a payment, but, you know, like that type of sensation, I just can't accept, you know, there's no better reward. One thing very important from a senior perspective, I'm CEO of a business, and one of the most important parts of my job is thinking creatively and breaking rules, like moving outside of the structure. I actually, by default, look at structure like this as a strong recommendation. Like, unless there's a badge and law enforcement involved, which I respect heavily, it's basically a strong suggestion for me. So when I look at the rules and the program that Cisco has put together, I have a lot of respect for it, and I like it, but I don't follow it to the T. I constantly try to improve on it. So I think that the feedback, oh, come on, you want to hear this. It's the truth.
All of us do it.
No, it's true, but you need the feedback. I'm not saying that you don't do anything that's not authorized or whatever, but you want to tune it, and you want to provide that type of feedback and grow. So the piece of advice that I would give to you guys is don't just look at what's on the surface, think about how to make it better. You know, see if there's a way, if you're struggling with something, you might not be the only person struggling with it, right? There might be every other person, and maybe everybody else is afraid to speak up about it. You know, and if you speak up about it and you're wrong 9 times out of 10, so what? That one time is going to make it up for the entire difference, right? And you'll make it better for everybody. So I would just say from a top-down perspective, you know, if you're feeling uncomfortable the first or second time through, do it, follow, enjoy, you know, participate. You don't have to change something right away. In fact, you probably shouldn't change something the first time you see it. But, you know, second or third time, definitely make changes to it. You know, I mean, especially with our program, there's been a very strong interest in remote training, which is something that we're now talking about. Right, so there's the training on site, but then also people have said, hey, how can I get this stuff remotely? Whole different attitude, right? Cisco's a networking company. I don't know if that's ever been thought about before, but it's that type of discussion that you want to open up. So I would just say that, you know, just think creatively. You know, if you run into a problem, make a solution, you know, maybe implement part of it, tell everybody about it, see how it goes, but don't be afraid to push the envelope a little bit. I'm going to pass this off to my more well-educated peers here. I will say this. I will say for me, it's changed. I can't say it's one thing. I can't say that there's one area that I've come across that has not been, that's only been the difficult area for me. The technology and the networking, it's almost like the medical field. Like the further you dig into it, the deeper the field goes. So you almost have to go in knowing that even if you're only 10, 20% more familiar on a specific subject than your students, if you're 80% more familiar in the other areas, there's always going to be that 10%. I mean, you're the most educated person in that classroom, ostensibly, right? That's why you're there. But oftentimes there's like 5 or 6 different things. You know, like I've had to go back, someone asked me a very simple question before when I first started about where a MAC address is learned on a switch. And at the moment I blanked. I was like, oh my God, like where's that MAC address? You know, and I felt like silly. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get the answer for you that, like as soon as I come back next week. It's super simple question, right? But it changes though, you know, so like it's not abnormal or weird for you to get a problem that you don't know the answer to, or even to have the same type of questions on the same problem repeatedly. It's totally normal. Like it's expected actually. You know, like you're gonna have a weak area. Question is, you know, do you dig into that to where you're comfortable to be able to explain it to someone who's 5? If you can, you move on to the next area. But I would fully expect that topic to change. And if anybody has any other deep expertise on that, let me know because I'd love to see your strategy. But I've always had some area weaker relative than others. I do this all the time. It's a very, very, very effective technique, so I definitely agree. I found that people tend to be in the class for one of 2 reasons. Either they're really curious about the material or they want to make money. So a lot of the examples I bring up are of that. You know, so I'll talk about quality of service. I talk about Xbox and Skype. I say, oh, you want to play Xbox and you want to lag out the other guy on Skype? Fine. You know, this is how you do it. But if it's a business case, then I'll say, listen, you know, our business charges whatever, you know, $300 an hour for our work. You want to make $300 an hour? All right, let me show you how to do this. There's a website called ui.linksys.com, and you can go there and you can find the exact drop-down setting, the exact value when you're on the phone. The guy will think you're a genius, and you send him a bill for an hour. That's it. Not that I ever do that. But it's a tool, right? Yeah. So, you know, but that's the type of engagement. Like, so you bring out those war stories. So the junior guys don't have those war stories. They're looking for them. Mm-hmm. You know, they want to sign up. So sometimes it's helpful to give them that engagement and try to say, like, listen, you guys want to be the only guy in your apartment of 16 people on Wi-Fi that actually has a real internet connection. Okay, here's how you do it. You know, or you want to bill somebody for walking in and, you know, choosing a different channel on Wi-Fi and nobody else knows what the heck Insider is. And you pull it up and you see, oh, channel 12 is not, or channel 6 is not in use. Did you pick it? Yeah, sure. So those are 2 effective techniques that I've used, but definitely it's just to highlight what you're saying. For me, when I was a kid, and I've seen this a lot with the kids that I teach who are younger especially, and even us as adults, love fantasies. Like, I don't think there was a single person in this room didn't watch that awesome video about the Matrix flying around buildings with data and didn't somehow think to themselves, that is so freaking cool, I wonder what's going on behind the scenes, right? So I think there's a fantasy in play even as adults, but especially as younger kids, where they're thinking like, oh man, can Angelina really do that with an acoustic coupler? Like I was thinking that when I watched Hackers. I was like, holy crap, I went and built one. I did, I built one, it lived in a shoebox. And then this is back when you could bring this stuff in airports, you know?
You can't pay people.
I said, you realize if you take this from me, I can't make a phone call to my mom to pick me up.
So thank you for not just being awesome and a CEO, right? But thank you also for giving back to the next generation.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
20 years, 20 years.